Hi, I'm Mars Girl.
I'm Josh Knight the First.
Welcome to episode 79 of MokkoriPlay, the only podcast dedicated solely to all things City Hunter.
On today's podcast, we're going to cover Season 2, Episode 28 of City Hunter, titled Message from Makimura, Memories Forever, Part 2.
Finishing another two-parter.
Yes, and just like last week, we have another chance to celebrate no assault this week.
Woo! Yeah!
So, no assault, just murder.
Oh, great. Those are my favorite.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot else to talk about other than I was just sort of sitting and calculating, man, how long is it going to take for us just to get through City Hunter 2? And we're going at about the pace that they were releasing it on television in '88, okay? So, yeah, we're still looking at another year of this podcast just to cover City Hunter 2. Just City Hunter 2, okay? We're going into July of 2024 just for this. And then January, I think, of 2025 to get to
The end of City Hunter 91, I think?
The end of City Hunter 91, the next two seasons.
And that's not counting all the other stuff we have to cover. The musicals, the movies, the live-action movies. And then we got a Netflix series to worry about.
And a Korean series, and also Angel Heart, both the anime and the live-action show, because two of those things exist.
It's a lot.
It is a lot. We're going to be doing this for a couple more years at least.
And then we can finally die.
Oh no. We'll barely be in our 40s.
Okay, maybe not die.
Yeah, let's not do that. Although another piece of just fun things that had happened. You know, we've been going to Little Tokyo a couple of times within the past month. We don't go like all the time because it's like really busy and you got to pay for parking and traffic kind of sucks. But, you know, when we can, we go.
Right.
So there's a store down in Little Tokyo that just sells a whole bunch of weeb t-shirts.
Well, specific shirts. Like, I can't find any other place where you can just walk in and get a Kamen Rider shirt or a Guyver shirt or just real specific 80s anime shirts.
Right, exactly. And this one specific store sells the City Hunter shirt, and it's specifically the cover of Volume 1 of the complete edition of the City Hunter manga. Which is very, very good art by Tsukasa Hojo. And we walked in there like twice on two separate occasions. I would either see it and be like, I shouldn't spend the money on that, or dang it, it's not really in my size. I really should not buy something I can't even wear. And we would walk out. But then, a couple of days ago, we meet up with a bunch of other people because we went to go see Shin Kamen Rider.
Yes.
And it just so happened one of our friends, Justin, had the shirt and it didn't fit him. And he was like, well, I got it and it doesn't fit me. So I thought, well, maybe one of you guys should have it. And shockingly, like, it runs small and it fits me. It's great. Like, he had no idea that we had been looking at this shirt at all. We didn't tell him. Like,
yeah, we hadn't said this out loud to anybody, and then lo and behold, you end up with the shirt.
It's awesome, and it was very kind of him to hand it over because, like, he spent that money and then it turned out he couldn't even use it. So, must have been disappointing for him, but maybe he'll find another one. Maybe they'll replenish their stock sometime and he can get one that fits.
Well, I appreciate at least when he came up to us with it, he told us, if anybody else would appreciate this shirt, I knew it would have been one of you two.
Yeah, for sure.
So, thank you to Justin for that generous gift. It's much appreciated. You, in fact, are wearing it right now. Right now, after having watched it. It's really important that we have this. Any piece of City Hunter merch we can get, you know, just in general, because there's not a lot of it out.
Not really, although they had been opening those limited edition stores, and I think another one is just about to open that's also in collaboration with the new movie. So the merch that does exist is extremely limited.
Right, exactly. And there was only so much stuff that they put out, if I remember correctly, during the Takarazuka musical run, correct?
Yeah, only so much stuff, and it's Takarazuka stuff, so it's your typical photo books and program guides and stuff like that. So it's not like manga. It is specifically Takarazuka.
I mean, between the two of us, we have DVDs, Blu-rays, and two statues that I gave you a couple of years ago.
Yes.
And that's it.
That's about it for right now, yeah.
Eventually, we'll get something of the Mini Cooper.
Something. We keep looking for, you know, you go into gas stations and you see just little miniature toy cars of various cool models that people like, and sometimes a Mini Cooper shows up, but it'll be the wrong color. If it does happen to be red, the roof color is almost always wrong. It's almost always black. And I'm like, no, that's not right. It's gotta be the white hardtop roof.
Yes, with the fog lamps. Like, we're looking for a very specific one, or at least as close as we can can approximate.
Exactly.
But we'll eventually get there. Point being, we've got a lot of time to look for more City Hunter merch because we're going to be at this for at least another 2 years.
At least, if not longer.
It's okay. It's okay. We like this.
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 Okay.
All right, we're there. So with that having been said, let's go ahead and get into this week's episode. And of course, because it's a two-parter, we have to start with a recap. So last time on City Hunter, so this guy named Kelly Nelson showed up looking like Mokkimura.
And his two first names.
And he's over here saying, hey, I'm with Interpol. Mokkimura's dead, but he was smuggling drugs before he died.
No, he didn't. Yes, he did. Well, I need proof that he did. Well, we're gonna find that proof. People were rooting around through their apartment, and they couldn't find anything. The Tokyo police were in on it, and they thought he was smuggling drugs too.
And turns out this is all tied back to Red Pegasus, the group that killed him.
Yeah, the episode where he died, episode 5. But we thought Ryo was like, hey, screw you guys, you killed my friend. Blam, blam, blam. We thought he killed everybody in the group. Turns out, no. Red Pegasus is here for some reason.
Somehow Red Pegasus survived.
With some new guy who looks similar to the guy who killed Mokkimura, but is not the guy who killed Mokkimura, I guess. Anyway, so it turns out Kaori does a whole bunch of digging, and she figures out, hey, maybe something's going on at this orphanage that apparently my brother was visiting a lot. And maybe we should tell the kids, hey, sorry, Mokkimura's not going to be around for a while because they're not aware that he's dead.
So they went to go try to get to the orphanage, but on the way there, they got hit by Optimus Prime, and then there was a bunch of knockout gas and bullets, and then Umibozu came in and saved the day, and now we're caught up.
Yeah, alright, but also it turns out that the Interpol guy, Nelson, was watching the whole thing, so what is up with that motherfucker?
We're about to find out right now.
Right now.
Okay, so we're at Red Pegasus headquarters here at the beginning of the episode, and Gilmore, the head of Red Pegasus, who we keep getting his name wrong.
Because it's just such a stupid, very generic name for some blonde dude.
Yeah, Gilmore is here trashing his office because he's very upset that Cowdy and Ryo got away.
He's flipping tables, he's destroying whiskey bottles.
And cognac bottles, like all this alcohol that we tried looking at to see whether or not it was real, and it's mainly not.
It's mostly not, although I was just like, man, they put a lot of detail into these alcohol bottles before they immediately get destroyed 2 frames later.
And so Gilmore's tearing up his own office, being like, damn it, we needed that info. What the hell?
And then Umibozu just came in and trashed the whole thing. What was up with that? I thought I liked that guy.
Because, yes, admittedly, now he understands, I don't think Umibozu was going to take us up on our offer to join Red Pegasus.
I guess not.
And we see that he's not talking to himself. Gilmore has someone else there in the room who's telling him, no, it's fine. We're going to get that information that Mokkimura got on the Asian drug smuggling route. I should know. I set him up for it. And dude stands up from the couch he's sitting on, turns around, and who is it? It's that mofo Kelly.
I mean, we knew.
We all knew. We knew he
was
was dirty. It's just this time we're not wasting any time to let the audience know, oh no, he's guilty of something.
We just have to wait for him to, reveal it himself and for everybody else to catch up.
And so now we've got at least the tail bit of it that, yes, he's saying he's involved in this. Obviously, he was the guy that was on the phone with Gilmore last episode talking to Red Pegasus about all this. So Gilmore and Nelson are in cahoots.
We knew that.
Everybody clear on that? Okay, great. So, across town, we see Reika meeting up with Sayako to get some more information. Now, this is the favor that she's having to do for Ryo that we didn't hear him ask for directly.
No, but we're slowly figuring out this is what it is. He asked her to get information from the police, but Sayako doesn't know that this is for Ryo.
And it's probably important that she doesn't know because...
Or else she wouldn't have given it.
Well, either she wouldn't have given it or she would have tried to extort more services out of Ryo for free.
That's true.
Because Sayako's kind of cheap like that.
Sayako upsets me sometimes.
But at least Reika is working with both Cowdy and Ryo's best interest in heart. And I appreciate that she did keep client confidentiality, I guess?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like she's a lawyer or anything, but I appreciate
no,
that she kept Ryo's secret.
If you're some kind of an investigator, I would think that would be the best business practice, would be to not give away information.
But specifically, this is information about immigration. Not so much a person emigrating to another country, but just somebody traveling around. So travel logs, I guess, is more accurate.
Right. I think that's true. I think the word immigration getting used in these subtitles, while probably not incorrect, I think it just gives the wrong impression about what was actually happening.
Right.
In the core of this story. The thing that's going to unravel this whole thing at the end. happened.
But since Reika is doing that for Ryo, we're gonna go back to the apartment right now where Kaori is just waking up, having realized that Umibozu saved both of their asses.
And guess what? Umibozu's here! Yeah! I guess he drove them all the way back to their apartment.
From wherever they were on the coastline.
Well, they were trying to go get to Kurumi House, the orphanage.
Which we find out later in the episode is somewhere around Yokohama.
Somewhere outside Yokohama, yeah. I feel like, man, Ryo really should have been like, no, we're trying to go to Kurumi House, but maybe he didn't want them to follow them to an orphanage and put kids in danger. I mean, they didn't end up following them either way, but...
I think it was just the more logical thing to make a tactical retreat.
I guess so. So anyway, Umibozu's there, and we got a little bit of reused animation of him sitting on their, like, picnic table bench that they have in the apartment, which again, for some, like, that just tickles me every time I see it. Like, Ryo did not get a normal dining room table, he got a picnic table and benches.
And at this point, it's been like a year and a half, as we're told last episode, and they've never tried to replace it.
That's true. I mean, that's just Ryo's decoration style, and I guess Kaori's just not gonna change him. Either way, so, Umibozu's pigging out, he's eating breakfast or whatever meal of the day it is right now.
Technically he's eating the meal that Kaori made for him several episodes ago, where this animation's getting reused from.
Right. He's still very large and bowing in the middle of this picnic bench that he's sitting on.
And this is basically him taking out his own thanks from Kaori and Ryo for saving their asses. But what we didn't know going into this is that Umibozu tells Kaori, "Oh, that's the least I could do to save you guys. I actually owed Makimura one."
And then he does a flashback where he talks about, oh, he was running away from some bad guys.
They looked like Yakuza.
And then he goes into a dark alley, and in the dark alley, Makimura is just there for some reason, and he's got handcuffs, and Makimura's like, well, these handcuffs are going to be useless because you're a very big man. And then he just lets him go. And then Umibozu's like, why are you letting me go? And Makimura is like, well, that's because sometimes you do okay things. Like, bye.
Well, specifically, he tells him it's because you sometimes take out the trash in the city, i.e. kind of being a sweeper.
Yeah.
Which, normally, that's not the thing Umibozu does. Umibozu's not known as a sweeper. He's known as more of an assassin.
No, but sometimes he's like a good dude, so he's just like, nah, it's cool. You can go. So where did Makimura go? Did he go to arrest the Yakuza? I don't know. This is literally all we're told. This is the entirety of the backstory that we have between Umibozu and Makimura. They met for about 2 minutes once, and Makimura let him walk away.
And that meant something to Umibozu.
Okay.
But see, I don't know whether or not that was necessary to give this extra backstory to them. Like, could it have just been, oh, I did this to help you, Ryo, or you, Kaori?
No, we needed to retcon a bunch more information, and I feel like that's what this two-parter is doing, is it's retconning in a bunch of backstory about Makimura because they want him to be more important because he only existed for 5 episodes.
But see, that's the thing, though. I don't think they even brought back his actor to act out anything extra. Well, okay, maybe it's just the one line or 1 or 2 lines that he has with Umibozu, and then the rest is reused stock audio from episode 5.
Do you think they reused that audio or they brought him back in? Because they redid the animation of him having the conversation on the park bench with Ryo, telling him about, oh, Kaori is adopted and her parents are dead, and I'm supposed to give her this ring when she turns 20. Like, it might be the same audio from episode 5.
I think it's the same audio.
But the animation was different.
No, it was different. So, I don't know, we'd have to double check on that.
They've reanimated that scene several times over the course of the years at this point, especially if we count pachinko machines.
In any case, then the phone rings, Kaori picks it up, and she's like, hello, and then somebody's just... And she's like, oh, okay, and is trying very hard not to act like she didn't just get some information, and she's playing it off like, oh, just so sleepy, Ryo, I'm gonna go to bed, okay, don't look for me, bye.
And she walks out the building, and what's his Charles Bronson guy?
Kelly Nelson.
Sure, whatever. He's downstairs, and he's got a car, and he's like, I got the info, and Kaori's like, what's the info? And he's like, can't tell you here, you gotta get in the car. And she's like, okay, cause this isn't suspicious. And just gets in the car and they take off.
Like, Kaori, you do not suspect this guy at all right now? After he's been trash talking your dead brother for like an episode?
Meanwhile, Reika Reika comes driving up in the opposite direction as they're both driving away, and she's like, oh, hey, there goes Kaori. Well, anyway, I'm gonna go up and see Ryo. Like, she doesn't really think twice about it, that it's weird that she's gotten into this car with this obviously suspicious-looking man.
It's gonna make even less sense later when some information gets brought up towards the end of the episode, but for right now, I'll let that go.
Yeah.
But also, I guess Reika's doing very well for herself because she's got a BMW.
Yeah, she must be. I mean, private investigators must make bank.
I mean, she must.
Yeah.
City Hunter, not so much, because remember, sometimes they go broke.
But also sometimes Ryo just spends their money incredibly badly.
This is very true. So once upstairs, Reika gives the information that she's been researching over to Ryo about these travel records. I'm going to say travel records instead of immigration.
Yeah, I would agree.
That gives a more accurate picture. And she's like, great, so as for my payment, so how about that date?
After all, not like Kaori's here, she just left, and Ryo's like, excuse me, she did what?
Yeah, she left, so how about the date?
No, dates, the only dates you need to be worried about are the dates Makimura died. Go tell Sayako about this. Bye. No, our date! He's already gone.
Yeah, well, he's trying to leave. He heads down to the parking garage that they got there at the apartment. He gets in the Panda, and for 2 seconds, I'm like, why isn't he getting in his own car? Oh, right.
Yeah, his car is trashed.
It's stuck on the New Jersey Turnpike.
So I guess he doesn't have another Mini Cooper yet.
No, he needs to go to his dealer.
He's been through like 3 Mini Coopers, and he has to replenish them now.
And unfortunately, you know, the Panda's not a very big car. It makes sense for somebody like Howdy. You know, she's very petite. But Ryo, you know, he's a little bigger guy, so it's a little rougher for him to get in. What's even worse, though, is if somebody like Umibozu, if he tried to get in the car, which he does.
And this has happened when he's gotten into the Mini Cooper before in the past, right? His head goes all the way up into the roof. Happens again here in the Panda. It's just, you see the roof bulging around his head.
His enormous bald head. He's like, hey, Ryo, I can't take this for very long. Can we get going?
Well, why are you coming?
You probably need help.
All right, I guess. Let's go.
And then across town at the docks, because it's always the friggin' docks. It's always the Yakuza, it's always princesses, and it's always the docks. That's always what the show is.
Hojo didn't have a lot of ideas aside from these, did he?
No, he had like a 6-sided die, and whatever it landed on, that's what he put in the episode.
6-sided die on a dartboard.
A very, very small dartboard with like 3 choices. So we're at the docks, fine. And Nelson is asking Cowdy, alright, so about that info I had for you. I lied, I need you to give me info. Quit lying.
Lying about what? About where the drugs are. I don't know where the drugs are.
And you can hear Kelly's inner monologue being like, she's gotta be lying to me. There's no way that she's this dumb.
Or is she lying to me? Was I wrong this whole time and she really doesn't know anything? No, I'm not wrong.
It's the sister who's wrong. So now, in order to try and move things along, he has to like give up information that he previously somehow didn't have, and now miraculously he knows something. So he tells Cowdy straight up the truth, well, part of the truth, that, hey, so Interpol found out some more information about your brother. Turns out he did buy drugs, but it was for a good reason. He was trying to uncover smuggling routes out of Asia to Japan, so he was actually a good guy. So you don't have to protect him. He was good.
I mean, that's true, but he's still trying to do some bullshit with this information.
And I appreciate Cowdy's reaction of, oh my god, that makes me feel so relieved that my brother didn't do that. I still don't know what the hell you're talking about.
And he's like, damn, why did that not work? But hey, what's this postcard sitting in the passenger seat? Because Kaori, for some reason, pocketed this postcard, I guess. I guess she would have taken it with her when they originally were going out to try to go to the orphanage, because the postcard was a Christmas card from the orphanage to Makimura before they knew that he was dead. And they addressed it to him anyway. And so I guess she just held on to it. She's held on to it ever since she, like, passed out from the gas and then got taken home, and she never took it out of her pocket, I guess.
And just conveniently, it fell out here in Kelly Nelson's car.
And she's like, oh yeah, that, I didn't even know I still had that. Yeah, I guess my brother was visiting some orphanage, and we really wanted to go see them because they didn't know he was dead. And he's like, an orphanage, huh?
And then from behind, out of nowhere, Gilmore's just like, oh!
And now Kaori's kidnapped again.
Again.
This is what she does. This is what Hojo does to her. Hojo, man, we gotta talk. We gotta talk about how you write women sometimes.
And then Cowdy will get kidnapped.
Oh my god.
And that will happen. And someone will try to rule the world.
And then Ryo comes and saves her.
Hey, look, like, that doesn't happen every episode. Just this one and all the episodes in front of it. So Ryo comes driving up in the Panda, and, you know, he's there with Umibozu. They're like, oh, there she is, quick, get her. And somehow Gilmore, with Cowdy in tow, is running faster than the Panda at full speed.
He's part robot, so...
Only his arm? He doesn't have robot legs.
His arm makes his legs fast.
That is bull, and you know it.
I thought it was pretty good. Anyway, so he runs her onto a large motorized boat. Like, not quite yacht-sized, but it's bigger than a little speedboat. But then Ryo and Umibozu get onto a little speedboat, and then they chase after.
And so we got this water chase, this Miami Vice water chase with Ryo. He unloads a whole 6 shots into Gilmore's arm. He blocks all of it. And Gilmore's like, haha, you'll never catch me, City Hunter.
But then they do a whole bunch of cool water tricks.
Like, suddenly out here on the water on this extended dock, there's just these stairs that go into the water that are perfect to be used as a ramp.
And Umibozu is the one who's actually driving this boat. Okay,
right.
He's driving the speedboat, and so up this ramp of stairs.
And weirdly enough, the action's been pretty good up until this point, but there's been no song in the background. There's no
it's just
BGM.
It's just been the sound effects of the boats and the guns and the water and people shouting and stuff.
But it's not until we get this jump through the air that somebody finally hits play, and then we hear footsteps.
So the boat is in the air. It's kind of like crossing over the bigger boat. Ryo jumps off the boat in midair, lands on the dock of the bigger boat,
and then proceeds to kill 5 guys.
And then just starts unloading on people.
Yeah, so he kills 5 guys, and then we go into this one-on-one versus Gilmore. I was almost about to call him Gilbert again, I swear.
He's not an important dude, except for the fact that this fight is actually pretty okay.
Yeah, this is a decent fight.
After Gilmore disarms Ryo, because that's a thing that happens, he knocks the 357 out of Ryo's hand, then it's a little close quarters combat-y.
Yeah, because then he converts his cannon arm back into like a double-bladed...
like claw fist?
Yeah, a claw. And now he's going at it hand-to-hand with Ryo with this claw. He's just barely ducking out of the way.
And this is kind of proving that if Ryo has to, he will go CQC. It's clear that that is not his preferred method, but put between a rock and a hard place, he'll do it, and he'll do it fairly well.
It's the thing that both live-action movies, specifically I'm referring to the French movie and Jackie Chan, that push a little harder.
They push a little too hard in some respect, especially the Jackie Chan one.
But
because Jackie Chan does not like being portrayed using guns at all, honestly.
Yeah, and so, like, we get it. The one time, though, towards the end of that movie, where it's like, the one time he's using a gun the way Ryo would, is in that fight when there's the big bad boss of the guy who's taking over the boat. He gets his gun back, and then Ryu, because they don't call him Ryo in that movie, they call him Ryu, he shoots off the trigger on the other guy's gun, which is totally like a Ryo thing to do.
That's true.
But luckily for Ryo, he's able to knock out Gilmore with a 3-hit combo, and then Gilmore's still about to get the drop on him with his robot arm, and then, out of all things that we didn't expect to happen, Gilmore gets shot in the ribs by Cowdy.
Yeah, she shoots him in the ribs, and he falls off the boat into the water, and you're like, oh my god, is he dead? You kind of figure they're trying to avoid letting Cowdy kill people, so in the back of your head, you're like, did she or didn't she?
Well, yeah, because they don't want to pin that on her, even though we've been over this. She is responsible for like 3 deaths.
Responsible, even though she wasn't trying to.
Kaylin, she had a rocket launcher.
Also, the Takarazuka version, she's extremely responsible for a death in the Takarazuka play.
I need to rewatch. I don't think I saw the whole thing. I only saw parts of it.
You commented on this like, oh my god, no, this is the opposite of what she should be doing, trying to get revenge for her brother. Why did they let her
you're
do that?
You're right. Yeah, now you jogged my memory. That's right. Okay, so yeah, sometimes whoever's telling the story realizes Cowdy is gonna have to get her hands dirty, whether she wants to or not. And here is kind of one of those times, but I think it's funny that even her reaction is, oh, I can't believe I hit him.
Oh my god, did I just shoot this man?
Oh my god, did I actually help the story? But right now, none of that matters because we're going into the beginning of the first Uncharted game where we need to get off this boat.
Oh yeah, because this boat currently has no driver, and it's headed straight for a very large rock.
And so they've got to duck off the boat. Boat crashes. They're in the water, and Umibo's like, "Hey, you like it wet?" And
oh my god, no, that is not what he says.
And Ryo's just like, "Shut up. I like it here.
It's comfortable. Why don't you get in the water? Or go home. That's a better idea. Just go home." And Kaori, for some reason, in the middle of all of this, she hears music somewhere. The audience sure doesn't hear any music.
Yeah, we
right
don't hear anything.
So she's like, "Hold on, there's music, and it sounds like Makimura's favorite song. I gotta go." And she swims off to shore. Conveniently, there's a set of stairs just over there. It's just
right here off the stage right. And Ryo asks Umibozu, because remember, again, I say this every other episode, if Ryo has a superpower, it's super hearing. Ryo's like, "I didn't hear shit. Umibozu, did you hear shit?"
Umibozu's like, "Sorry, but my hearing's actually pretty bad." And we're realizing, I know this hasn't come up yet, but that's going to be very bad if his hearing is bad.
Because
he's a little in the future from now.
And not too far in this season, right?
I think it's
if not this one, it's next season. It's one of the two.
I think it's towards the end of this season. He's going to lose another sense.
And he's really going to need that hearing. He's going to need it real bad.
Anyway, don't think about that now.
And so, yeah, conveniently, there are these stairs here. Kaori goes up them. And wouldn't you know it, we're smack dab in front of Kurumi House, which we looked up. Kurumi is the Japanese word for walnut.
I mean, we actually didn't need to look it up. You asked me, "Hey, isn't that a kind of nut?" And I was like, "Yeah, pretty sure that's walnut." Then we double checked.
Yeah, so they're at Walnut House. That's a weird name for an orphanage.
It's kind of cute. A child probably named the house, and they were like, "Oh, that's cute. Just leave it as that."
So they're here at the orphanage. Kaori and Ryo and Umibozu are kind of trailing behind. And Kaori notices there's two kids out on this cliff overlooking the water, and they've got this bag, right?
Of white powder that they're just dumping into the ocean. And I'm like, dumping cocaine, huh? Just very nonchalantly, "Oh, this is what we kids do." Kaori runs up and she's like, "Hey, what are you kids doing?" And they're like, "Oh my god, what are you doing here?" And she's like, "Well, I'm Makimura's sister, and I know he hasn't been here in a while." And they're like, "Wow, Makimura's sister. Hey, where is he?" "Oh,
he's busy.
He can't be here right now. Anyway, can you please tell me what you're doing?"
And the kids tell Kaori, "Oh yeah, whenever Mr. Makimura would come around, he'd tell us to take these bags of white sand and toss them over the water."
So I thought I would do it with this bag of cocaine that I guess he just left at the house. So I thought I would do this in hopes that it would just make him come back.
So Ryo catches up along with Umibozu, and they take one look at this, and Umibozu's like, "That's drugs, right?" And Ryo pieces it together for the audience like, "Yeah, so it looks like what happened was Makimura did all this stuff. He infiltrated the drug trade. He found out where the drugs were going. He got the drugs, and in order to keep them off the market, he hid them here at this orphanage, and somehow he has conscripted these kids to dispose of the drugs."
No, because what the kids actually said was that Makimura would come here and he would do this. He would dump the drugs out here. My personal thought is, maybe find a place that isn't an orphanage full of children to dump your drugs. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Well, because I'm thinking about it like this. Like, we just saw, not too long ago, we saw Cocaine Bear, right? And kids are curious, and kids might sometimes see the white powder and try to ingest it. Maybe try to avoid that.
You're lucky that this kid decided with drugs that you just left there and didn't dispose of, that you're lucky they decided to dump them into the ocean and not be like, "Hey, what's this stuff do?" And just like eat it.
Well, because you remember, they're in Cocaine Bear, the two kids, they try the drugs.
I know.
Imagine if there had been a bear here.
Japan has bears.
Japan does have bears.
Japanese black bears, yeah.
Oh man, City Hunter versus Cocaine Bear.
Oh no.
It was the 80s. This is about the year that happens now, I'm realizing.
Is it? Or did Cocaine Bear happen before that?
No, it was 88. It was 88.
Okay.
It's the same year as this.
Okay.
Now I'm going to need fan art of that. Anyway, point being, so Kaori goes inside and talks to, I guess it's the lady who's running the orphanage.
They're calling her a teacher. I guess she must teach the children while they're there. there in the orphanage.
Okay, that tracks.
And she's like, oh, so that's why Mokkimura didn't come back. So Kaori's being upfront and honest with the teacher, obviously, because she's an adult. She understands people die. And so teacher's like, oh yeah, he would come here sometimes and the kids sure did love him. He would play with them. They really, really liked him. And he left something with me and he said, can you just hold on to this for a little while? I'll be back. And then he didn't come back. So do you want this? Do you want what he left? And she hands Kaori this envelope. And inside the envelope is a 3.5-inch floppy disk.
For those of you that don't know, in the 80s, that's what we would use instead of a USB drive.
Oh man, I don't know about instead of a USB drive.
Well, because they hadn't been invented yet.
It's just so much smaller than a USB drive.
That ain't nothing nowadays.
I know.
But back in the day, that's all we had.
I put a bunch of MIDI files
I had a bunch of Gundam Wing opening and ending MIDI files on 2 floppies.
I had a bunch of MIDIs and I had a bunch of ROMs, NES and SNES ROMs on a bunch of floppies.
Specifically, I had Gundam Wing Endless Duel on floppy. That's gonna make me sound older than anything else I say on this show this week.
Anyway, so there's a floppy disk and it's full of information, and I guess we're just assuming somehow Kaori knows maybe there's a letter in there.
It looked like there was.
This floppy disk has information on a bunch of drug routes that Mokkimura was aware of, that he had been involved in trying to track down, and I guess at some point he planned on coming back, picking it up, turning it into police maybe, but he died before that could happen. So Kaori's got this disk and she's running back out of the orphanage and she's like, hey guys, I've got a disk full of information here.
And we're just looking at her like, you idiot, why are you just running down the sidewalk here, just waving this thing in the air and shouting to the high heavens, I've got information about drugs. Hey Ryo and Umibozu, look at me with my floppy disk full of drug information.
By the way, there's still one guy left in this scenario who's still alive and well, who would like that information and has been asking for this information the entire time.
And he's right here.
You got him right here, yeah.
And so Kelly Nelson comes out from behind the bushes. Like, that's not creepy enough in and of itself.
Why were you just standing here waiting, dude? Why?
Like, why are you being creepy right now? Are you trying to keep up your cover, or are you trying to blow it right now? Because, like, nothing's gonna make you look any more creepy than coming out of the bushes when there's no reason to suspect you right now, even though Ryo totally does. So yeah, he comes out of the bushes and he's like, hey, give me that floppy. And Cody's like, oh, okay.
But Ryo's like, no, don't copy that floppy. No, don't give him the floppy.
You really went for the copy that floppy joke.
I mean, it was just in my head. I don't know. Ryo's like, look, this dude is sus. Can we not? And Kaori's like, oh, well, now I don't know anymore.
But then, as if she needs any more convincing, both Saiko and Reika show up and they're like, yeah, he's sus.
We know what you did. Okay, what did I do? And so Ryo just explains the whole thing. You said you heard that Mokkimura had died while you were in New York, but you weren't in New York. You were in Japan. Why were you in Japan? You didn't even go back to New York. You went to Hong Kong after that. What the fuck, bro?
Isn't it funny what happens when people try to lie about something and then you can very easily prove that they weren't telling the truth because you could just look it up?
That happens way too often, you know?
And so, yeah, this throws Kelly off balance and he's like, screw it. And then he takes Cowdy hostage and he's like, all right, I'll tell you the truth. I set up Mokkimura to look for the drug trade because I wanted him to do all the dirty work and find out the trade routes, and then I was gonna off him once he got that info back. But unfortunately, Red Pegasus is full of a bunch of dumbasses and they killed him before I could do it. And then you killed Red Pegasus. So I've been over here trying to rebuild Red Pegasus to do all this work again.
And, well, at least you killed the other Red Pegasus guy on the boat just now, cause he's so stupid I would've killed him anyway. Except he's not dead, he's climbing the cliff right now and he heard the whole thing!
My God, he's coming over the top rope! Like, Gilmore somehow Gilmore survived. We're making that joke too many times.
I know.
Gilmore survived the boat crash and getting shot in the ribs by Cowdy. He's still bleeding, mind you. But this dude with a full soggy wet cape and a robot arm climbed up the side of this thing. Like, this is the dumbest part for me.
Okay.
He didn't take the stairs.
There were stairs right there, weren't there?
Yeah, they're right next to the spot where the stairs are, and Gilmore looks at this and he's like, nah, I'm gonna be a hardcore badass and climb up the side of this cliff with a gunshot wound that is currently open and bleeding.
And only technically one arm.
Like, good job. You want a brownie point for that?
He just wanted to look like he was more hardcore than he was. And he's like, I heard what you were gonna do, and now I'm gonna take you with me. Kelly ends up shooting the guy another 3 times, and he still isn't, like, totally dead. Everybody is real mad at Kelly right now, and he's pretty cornered, and Gilmore gets back up like he's the Terminator, and he's like, well, I might be going to hell, but you're going to hell with me, ah! And he throws them both over the side of the cliff. Not the stairs. Could have taken the stairs down, but no.
Well, in the middle of that, we missed this. Kelly Nelson did try to hurt Cowdy, and then Rio disarmed him, and then, yes, he threw him over the side of the cliff.
Okay, sure, yeah, lots of things were happening.
Well, it's important. Rio had to get in a shot here. He's trying to protect Cowdy.
It's fine. That worked. They're both probably dead now. I have to say probably because we don't see a body. We don't even see them hit the water or the rocks or anything. But we don't see them again, so I'm gonna assume they died.
But you never assume that. You always assume they live if there's no body.
Well, I would love to, but then 2 more seasons of City Hunter happen and they don't come back.
I mean, well, okay, if we're going by the same logic of girls who say they're going to come back and marry Rio, then no, they will never come back. We will never see them again.
Unless they make another movie later in 2027 and they bring them back.
I mean, probably not. So I guess that solved everything, and wouldn't you know it, it's sunrise now.
Oh, we're talking about actual, like, the rotation of the Earth. I thought, when you said sunrise, I thought you meant the animation studio.
I do. Every time, I think they do that on purpose, that action ends right at sunrise, because they've done this multiple times. I think this is in their own way. This is their way of getting their name in there.
Oh, I don't know, maybe.
That's my headcanon.
Anyway, Rio and Kaori are just kind of looking over Makimura's grave right now. They just went to go and visit him and kind of talk to him and pray to him and leave him some offerings and stuff, and Rio's realizing, man, I really gotta tell Kaori that she's adopted. Like, this has been a thing for 1.5 years, and I gotta tell her at some point.
And then Kaori kind of looks up from, her having prayed over the grave, a very Western-style grave, mind you. With a full-on headstone, not like the more Japanese ones that are more vertical.
Like, kind of tall and rectangular.
Yeah. She looks up and tells Rio, you know what? At the end of the day, Makimura was my brother, no more, no less. And Rio's just like, wait a minute, so does that mean, like... And they don't address it any further. Like, does she know?
I don't know why she said that.
There was no reason for her to say that.
Like,
right
it didn't come with, okay, is that your entire statement? Like
is that a question?
Is that the whole thought?
Are you going somewhere with this? It's up to you as the audience, because Supergirl's already playing, and that's the episode.
Also, here's a transparent picture of Makimura's face over his gravestone. Also, a very Japanese thing to do is kind of put a dead person's transparent face somewhere in the background of your final shot of an episode.
And that's it. We're done with the 2-parter.
I mean, it was a pretty good 2-parter. It's always nice when Rio doesn't assault anybody. Anyway, next episode, he's gonna try to assault somebody.
Yeah, it's like... I don't know why the show does this sometimes, where it feels like, okay, we went 2 episodes, we leaned in real hard into plot, we leaned real hard into action, now he's got to do stuff with a minor?
And here's the thing, too. This happens once or twice throughout the whole series.
Thankfully, it's only that.
It's that Rio actually will initially say, oh, this person is under 18, pass. He very specifically, deliberately uses the English word pass. He's not gonna help this person because they're a minor. He's not initially interested in them. And Kaori is the one who decides to put it in his head, oh, but she will be 18 eventually. And Rio changes his mind because suddenly he thinks, maybe I will groom this person.
And so that's awful. That's some other kind of awful.
I'm so upset because normally Rio would not do this, and it's so strange that they write Kaori as being the one to put it into his head the 2 times this happened.
But we're not going to run from it. We're going to cover it. So you'll have that to and I say this with air quotes, look forward to when you come back for our next episode.
So come back next time when we cover the 29th episode of City Hunter 2, Wounded Innocence, A Bullet and an Angel's Prayer.
And if you want to catch us outside this podcast, you can always find us both over on Twitter. For now, I'm at Josh Knight First.
And I'm at Mars Girl. Thank you all so much for listening to our 79th episode of MokkoriPlay. And if you don't come back next episode, I'm gonna make Josh get surgery.
What surgery? I don't need surgery. Am I dying? What's wrong with me? Why won't you say anything?